Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Michael, aka Victor, here, and today is April Fool's Day. So I'll tell you a little bit about myself, and I'm not going to go into much detail today because you'll probably think it's a science fiction story, and especially if I'm telling it on April Fool's Day. But the previous talks were talking about us being the I am, or the spiritual being, or the consciousness, whatever you want to call, or source, whatever you want to call this divinity that's within us all. We are that experiencing this matrix through or experiencing the presence of a persona, character, or ego. So we were talking about that and how waking up in the matrix is actually not identifying with this and knowing that you're this and bringing that higher self, if you will, down into this matrix and creating from that standpoint. So I talk about April Fool's Day because we've all been fooled. We've all played the fool before. Me as well. One of the things I've been foolish at is, and I used that quote in a previous post, but trying to please people. And there are just trying to be liked. So there are people that like me and there are people that don't like me, right now. And no matter what I do, there are people that are going to like me and not like me. Not everyone's going to like what you do. I'm definitely passionate about this. I think this is the fundamental issue or the root cause of the problem. And I use my engineering background, I use my statistical skills, I use my wit knowledge, I use my persona, character, ego to the end of raising the consciousness of us all. So that's the game. But anyway, how did we get fooled into thinking something else? How did we get fooled into thinking that we're not this? Or even if we are souls, because some people would say, yeah, I do have a soul, but I don't want it to be sent somewhere. And I just use hell, for example. I'm in the Bible Belt. I'm in America in the Bible Belt. So this is a quote-unquote Christian country. So I just use me, use my belief system that I was taught. That, yeah, if you weren't saved, quote-unquote saved, you were going to hell. And God made hell, and that's where you were going to go. That's part of the belief system. And other people have different belief systems. But the whole idea is that some people that know they are soul or believe they are souls even add this extra baggage to it that adds guilt to their own existence here in this matrix. Like, what if God only makes angels? When a baby is born, when you look at a baby, you look at them as innocent, as pure, as angels and all of that stuff. That core is still there. These things that have happened, this history of yourself is just a history of your persona ego. And, forgiveness is a gift that you give yourself. And sometimes you have to forgive yourself of being a fool sometimes. But there are belief systems that use that belief to control us. Because if you're afraid of what's going to happen at a time that, let's say, death, if you're afraid of what's going to happen after death, then I have you for the rest of your life believing this doctrine that I control, or I could be the intermediary between God and someone else, and now I have the controlling power of these people. And they use this to control us, and that's how the small can control the many. It's a belief system that prevents you from accessing your own genius and being a sovereign being that you are, and having the fear and the guilt and all of those things. Those are stress. Those are things that you carry around. That's baggage unnecessarily that we're carrying around. And the way they do it, and this is supposed to be an elephant, so forgive me for this stick drawing, but what they do is they get us when we're young, right? They get us when we're a little elephant, and then they chain us to this religion, this belief system. And we don't know any better. We don't have the mental capacity to do the research that we can do now. So we just accept that, our parents are lying to them. And in most cases, they aren't. They're just taking something that they were given and passing it on down the line. But the thing is, when this elephant becomes a full-grown elephant, and just as in real life, they still have the memory, they still have the trauma of this chain. And this is a chain that they can break now. They have the strength to break now, but they still are looking at the times when they were younger when they didn't break it. So that's the programming that the few use to control the many here in this matrix. So part of the mission is to show, for one, that it's possible to rewrite your own character, your persona, your program, your avatar, and that you're even more than just this physical being, but to show that you can also recreate, or we can create, a new reality for us to experience. The one that we have now is not natural. Just look at how we react with nature. It's artificial. It's from a parasite. We'll get into that later. But it's not a natural. We're meant to be in alignment with nature. And you can see that we're not. This quarantine is kind of allowing nature to kind of take a breath and kind of rebound, but nature is out there. And yeah, nature's not closed. Spring is still going on. But anyway, so when we're more in line with that, more in tune with ourselves, we're able to be the true creators that we are, and this divinity that we are gets expressed down here. These people that want control and power over us don't want us to be sovereign and divine and all of this. They want us just to follow them and be afraid of something, of an idea that they gave us in the first place, that you can easily look at. You know, it's not a belief that you have to believe anything that I say. You can look at the science, you can look at the research, you can look at the history, you can look at the other belief systems. They all point to the I am at the end of the day. And I've done detailed studies on all of these things in previous videos. They're there. I mean, we're going to, you know, continue this thing on through, but that's the game that they play on us. Religion really controls a lot of that because the spiritual aspect of us is controlled by the religious side. Science doesn't touch it because you can't measure it. So I'm not just picking on religion, because there are scientific belief systems as well. But the religion is where a lot of the fear and the guilt come from. The whole idea of sin, right? The whole idea as you were created with sin. And what we're doing in this matrix as well, and I'll end this with this, is even if you did have a history of something that you've done, part of us is our environment. So if we live in an environment that is conducive to crime, is conducive to poverty, is conducive to low vibration things, that kind of environment affects us. So we have to also look at ourselves and our environment. So we're in the process, we're going to be in the process of doing that. That's what this flux is now. Let's not create the same environment that we created before when this new environment is created. Let's be a part of that. Let's be a conscious part of that. All right, hopefully that explained what this is. And this is getting a little messy, but we're going to continue on. I'm going to tell you a little bit about myself, my mission, and how I've had a camera for a long time, and how that's adding up to this story, and how that's adding up to you. It's really not about me, it's about us. So yeah, eventually I get back behind the camera, where I'm naturally at, but I had to spend time in front of the camera. So in order to do the work, you know, to actually do the field work. All right, y'all, peace.